Madam Chair, I move House File 2000 be recommended to be re-referred to the Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law Committee.
So Chair Stevenson moves that House File 2000 be recommended to be re-referred to the Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law Committee. To your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. House File 2000 is the bill to legalize sports betting in Minnesota. And for returning members, the bill will be very familiar because I would say is 90% plus the same bill that passed with bipartisan support off of the House floor last year. There have been some changes to the structuring of the licenses between the state and the tribal nations of Minnesota. Last year's bill included a hub and spoke system. This year's bill directly licenses the tribes. But beyond that, it is largely the same, both in terms of what activity would be permitted and how it would be permitted and regulated. As members may know, sports betting, the states became able to legalize sports betting with a Supreme Court decision in 2018. And since that time, more than 30 states, including every state that borders Minnesota, has legalized sports betting in some form or fashion. Minnesotans deserve the same opportunity that all of our neighbors have to bet in a legal, safe marketplace with consumer protections. And as my colleague Representative Garofalo likes to say, no Minnesotan should have to go to Iowa to have fun. But he does very often. You were right, Representative Dowd. And Madam Chair, we do have, I think there are a number of people who wish to testify to the bill, so maybe in the interest of time, I'll just leave it at that and be happy to answer questions once we get through the testifiers.
All right, so first on the list, we have Andy Plato, Executive Director with Minnesota Indian Gaming Association. Introduce yourself and proceed with your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Andy Plato, and I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota Indian Gaming Association, or MIGA. On behalf of MIGA's 9 member tribes, thank you for your work on House File 2000, a bill to legalize sports wagering. Since the Murphy v. NCAA Supreme Court decision in 2018, MIGA tribes and their leaders have monitored the impact legal sports betting has had on existing tribal gaming operations in other states. The experiences and lessons learned elsewhere, including all the states surrounding Minnesota, have helped MIGA tribes understand just how important the details and structure of legislation authorizing sports wagering are to existing gaming interests like tribal governments. Were House File 2000, as currently drafted, to become law, MIGA tribes believe the resulting mobile and retail markets operated by Minnesota's tribal nations would not only support tribes, but would also provide well-regulated and accessible options for the state's sports bettors and a competitive market that is important to our state's professional sports teams and market partners. Gaming revenues produce the essential tax base tribes rely on to fund basic and essential government services for thousands of tribal members. Therefore, anytime the state changes the gaming landscape, tribes must carefully consider whether such proposals strengthen or in fact threaten tribal sovereignty and self-determination. MIGA tribes look forward to continually monitoring the bill's progress and offering refinements to improve the language as it moves through the process. MIGA, its members and representatives, again, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your recognition that tribal gaming deserves to be protected and must be preserved. As this proposal moves through the legislature, we look forward to working with you and other stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Plato. We do have a number of testifiers from the public signed up, so we're hopeful. We have another bill yet on the agenda for the day, so we're hopeful that people can keep their testimony to about 2 minutes. We have David Prestwood on the list, followed by Jake Grassel. You can introduce yourself and proceed.
Good afternoon, Chairman Stevenson, Vice Chair Katiza-Wattoon, Republican Leader Driscoll, all members of the Commerce, Finance, and Policy Committee. Thank you for your time this afternoon. My name is David Prestwood. I'm Government Affairs Manager for DraftKings, and I'm here today to provide testimony on behalf of DraftKings in support of House File 2000 relating to sports wagering. We appreciate the opportunity to participate in today's hearing and in additional conversations to discuss the importance of Minnesota embracing a competitive, fully functional sports wagering market. DraftKings is a digital sports and entertainment gaming company created to fuel the competitive spirit of sports fans with products that range across daily fantasy, regulated gaming, and digital media. We're headquartered in Boston and launched in 2012, and our sportsbook is live with mobile and/or retail sports betting in 22 states. DraftKings supports a sports wagering framework in Minnesota that protects consumers, generates revenue for the state, and stamps out the pervasive illegal sports wagering market. Sports wagering is not new to Minnesota. An estimated 1.17 million people in the state are making a combined total of more than $2.5 billion in sports wagers annually on the illegal market. Nearly all of these wagers are placed online in this robust illegal market where sophisticated illegal operators capitalize on the popularity of this form of entertainment. Fortunately, across the country, states are bringing this activity into legal regulated markets that mandate robust consumer protections. To date, 36 states have legalized sports betting, including 21 that have authorized mobile sports betting. As Minnesota debates converting the illegal sports betting market, we encourage you to do so in a manner that provides smart consumer protections endorsed by the National Council on Problem Gambling. A successful legal market has to provide a better, safer, and accessible product, and creating artificial and unique barriers will ensure that Minnesotans keep betting in the illegal market, a market that has zero consumer protections. We look forward to working together to ensure this bill will bring bettors into the legal, regulated, and taxed market. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Next, we have Jake Grassel, followed by Leah Patton. Please introduce yourself and proceed.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Mr. Chairman. I am Jake Grassel. I'm here today on behalf of Citizens Against Gambling Expansion to speak in opposition to House File 2000. I've had this testimony done about 10 times in the last 3 years as we've stood in opposition. This bill simply purports, as we just heard, to be a regulatory mechanism to bring illegal gambling out of the shadows. Unfortunately, what it is the largest expansion of gambling in the state in the past 40 years. For the first time in our state's history, we are looking to legalize online betting, and gamblers who bet online have higher problem gambling rates, about 18.2%, and further, sports bettors have higher problem gambling rates at 5.7% compared with adults that bet at casinos, bought lottery tickets, raffle tickets, private bets, etc. The annual costs to our state are great, and they cannot be ignored. We will discuss those in finance, properly where they are. But who will bear these costs and who will this burden take on? Generally in gambling, it is those who least can afford to take on the burden. So we ask that you reconsider your support of this. We're fully cognizant of the support this bill has from the industry players. And we really want to work more with the chairman to put some additional guardrails. We do appreciate some of the guardrails that were put on last session, but I believe we can find some additional ones that will make this a better bill if it is to go forward. But as this is the largest expansion of gambling, I would please encourage you to just take a step back and say, no, not now, not on the backs of those who can least afford it. So I'd encourage you to oppose this bill. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Leah Patton, you can approach the bench, introduce yourself, and proceed. Next, we have Randy Sampson.
All right. Madam Chair and members, my name is Leah Patton, and I am Executive Director of the Joint Religious Legislative Coalition. JRLC is a statewide coalition formed through the partnership of our 4 sponsoring faith organizations: the Islamic Center of Minnesota, the Jewish Community Relations Council, the Minnesota Catholic Conference, and the Minnesota Coalition of Churches. As people of faith, we advocate alongside our neighbors of differing religious backgrounds to address poverty, uphold the dignity of overlooked communities, and mitigate societal harm. I'm here to testify in opposition to House File 2000. Legalizing sports betting, daily fantasy sports, and mobile gaming will bring access to gambling into every home, school, and workplace in our state 24 hours a day. We believe this will create more problem gamblers and intensify the struggle of those already dealing with gambling addictions. This issue does not just impact the person dealing with addiction, but it can also create severe financial and emotional hardship for their families as well. The University of Minnesota reports that college students are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop problem gambling than older adults. And with 24-hour access to online betting, we are concerned that this will increase the number of young people dealing with compulsive gambling. Though we oppose the passage of this bill, we would like to acknowledge Chair Stevenson for actively listening to our concerns and placing safeguards in this bill to mitigate its negative societal impacts. These measures include restricting the gambling age to 21 and over, prohibiting targeted advertising to people under the age of 21, implementing a 3-hour cool-down period after depositing money with a betting website before it can be wagered, and increasing resources for families and funding addiction recovery supports. While we oppose the passage of House File 2000, we sincerely thank Chair Stevenson for working with us on this issue and making this bill less harmful than it would otherwise have been. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Randy Sampson, you can come up, introduce yourself for the record, and proceed with your testimony. And finally, we have Tracy Wilson after that.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. I do appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm Randy Sampson. I'm the chairman and CEO of Canterbury Park, so I'm here representing the racetrack and our horsemen today. Since the Minnesota voters approved a 1992 constitutional amendment allowing parimutuel betting on horse racing, we've seen the introduction and growth of successful tribal casinos and 2 successful racetracks with card rooms that support purses. This approach has resulted in economic benefits that have reached all corners of the state, and we feel strongly that any effort to add sports betting to the gaming options in Minnesota needs to include input from the tracks as well as the tribal governments and the sports teams. For the horse industry nationally, continued success comes from complementary gaming options that are used to grow and sustain purses that attract investments by breeders, owners, and trainers. Adding new gaming options at Canterbury has never proved to be a threat to the tribal gaming, and these options just provide a different type of economic development. On the other hand, ignoring horse racing when considering new forms of gaming can cause the loss of significant economic benefits to the Minnesota horse industry and to the state of Minnesota. Our message has consistently been that the horse racing industry is an important stakeholder in the Minnesota gaming industry and should be at the table and part of the discussions on the best way for the state to implement sports betting. We currently can't support this bill in its current form as it does not take into account the needs of the horse industry. However, I do appreciate that Representative Tabke has reached out to Canterbury Park, and we've begun some discussions regarding options for providing resources to support the horse industry and economic benefits, that will benefit horse racing in Minnesota. We believe a bill that provides benefits to horse racing as well as tribal governments and sports teams will provide the broadest possible economic benefits to the state. If all the stakeholders are at the table, I'm confident that we can find solutions that will be a win-win-win for the tribes, teams, and tracks. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Tracy Wilson? And then if there is any other member of the public who wishes to testify after Ms. Wilson. Mr. Chair, it might be helpful to move that chair just over a little bit for her. You can introduce yourself for the record and proceed when you're ready.
Sure, thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you, Madam Chair, Chairman Stevenson, and members of the committee for letting me speak today. My name is Tracy Wilson, and I'm the Chief Financial Officer for Running Aces, located in the city of Columbus in Anoka County. My goal is to provide testimony today showing the importance of treating the racetracks equally with the Native American casinos with regards to the sports betting bill. I want to make sure everyone understands that the Minnesota racing industry has already been taking sports bets on horse racing since the mid-'80s when it was legalized. In 1982, Minnesotans approved sports wagering on horse racing by 64% majority. Specifically, Running Aces has taken over 10 million sports bets on horse racing alone since opening in April of 2008. Canterbury has been taking sports bets on horse racing for almost 40 years. The horse racing industry is estimated to bring an economic benefit of over $500 million to the state of Minnesota. Specifically, Running Aces employs over 530 employees with our casino hotel and racetrack, with an additional 75 seasonal employees supporting an estimated annualized payroll over $27 million. Running Aces has offered advanced deposit wagering, ADW, since 2016. This was a law passed in 2016 which utilizes the same technology and some of the same vendors being considered for sports betting today. Advanced deposit wagering allows Minnesotans the ability to bet on horse racing from mobile devices. Online sports betting is projected to represent 80 to 90% of the revenue produced by sports betting. Running Aces is already experienced with offering sports wagering and account wagering operations. The tote machines and the mobile device technology used at the track to take horse racing bets is already capable of handling sports betting. Running Aces is regulated by the Minnesota Racing Commission. The MRC is physically located at our track, which includes a full-time investigator, in addition to all the other regulatory positions. In addition, the MRC auditor receives daily reports from us. Sports betting represents the largest expansion of gaming in Minnesota in the last 40 years. If this bill is passed, all constituents, the tracks and Native American casinos, need to be treated fairly. Minnesotans overwhelmingly agree. According to an April 2022 KSTP Survey USA poll, 57% of respondents say they support sports betting in Native American casinos and the state's 2 racetracks. Just 7% of respondents support sports betting only at Native American casinos. In summary, if our racetrack is excluded from sports betting expansion, this will endanger the future of our over $500 million racing industry in Minnesota. We are asking today for parity and basic fairness. Thank you for listening and learning more about Running Aces. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public who wish to testify on the bill today? All right, seeing none, we do have a couple amendments. Representative O'Driscoll, would you like to move and describe the A1 amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And the A1 amendment, ladies and gentlemen, gets to a more global issue that I've had for a while, and we've started to hear a little bit in testimony today. And what the issues are is we have, like we did last year, kind of the colliding of worlds with alcohol. This year we kind of have the colliding of worlds with gaming. We continue to have the perennial problem for charitable gaming, where they are taxed at an extremely high rate, and those are gaming operations that are run by your local legions, VFWs, ball clubs, hockey groups, and the like in your communities that help them to be able to basically do what they need to do in their operations and to help kids and others within our community to do good things. The second thing that we're looking at is the Viking Stadium, which was funded by the E-Pull-Tab program, is about to sunset, where we have enough money, we believe, to be able to pay off those bonds. And so the question becomes, what does the legislature do with the E-Pull-Tab related money? And the third thing that we've got is the new kid on the block, if you will, and that is the issue of sportsbook betting. And I will tell you that I'm not opposed to the concept, but I'm very in favor of a level and fair playing field for everyone. Anyone and everyone knows that there's only a limited number of dollars that are available for everything. And when you go and introduce a new player into the pot, what ends up happening is those revenues get shared with another player or competitor for those entertainment dollars in this case. And so what the A1 amendment does is it asks for an evaluation to find out if there's going to be a drop in revenues based on actual hard dollars year over year at the time that this bill goes into place. And if it does, then we would then look at making the charitable gaming folks whole by helping them with some offsets. I'm not going to ask the members to vote on this bill or this amendment. I'm just introducing it for conversation to make sure that we are early on in this discussion and process, understanding that we have three moving parts and that all three of those parts really need to be addressed together and to not individually in silos like a lot of things have been happening this session from my observations. There is a cause and effect, and again, I think I've done a fairly good job of laying out what the cause and effect would be here on this. And so, Madam Chair, with that, I withdraw the A1 amendment.
Thank you, Representative O'Driscoll. He withdraws the A1 amendment. Chair Stevenson, do you have follow-up?
I do, only because Representative Driscoll said he wanted to start a conversation, and I'll start by saying I think it's amusing to me, having heard my friends talk about how much they don't like seeing bills moved together and that they'd rather see things dealt with separately, that now the idea is that maybe we should deal with things more. We don't like that you're doing everything separately, and we'd like you to do everything together. I would say that I do not support settling the e-pull tab issue in conjunction with the sports betting issue. I think that those are different issues that should be handled differently. I'm glad you're withdrawing this amendment today. I think it, in particularly with regard to the decision that the Court of Appeals issued today on rendering some of the practices at the Gambling Control Board with regard to e-pull tabs as operating off of unpromulgated rules that were declared void and sent in the Court of Appeals decision. I think it's not the right time to be considering tax cuts in connection with this bill. We need to have a different discussion about that entire issue, and I think it's probably in everyone's best interest to set that aside to a different place of conversation. So I don't support including it. I'm glad you're withdrawing it. We are going to probably continue to talk about e-pull tabs this year, especially after the Court of Appeals decision today.
Representative O'Driscoll.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and Chair Stevenson and the author of the bill. To the point of things moving together and differently, these are all three things that are gaming related, and I could assist your caucus if you wanted to group some things together to help be able to move things faster in that endeavor. I'm happy to do so, and this is maybe one of those areas. And again, open invitation to help you to help prioritize bills if you are interested in that.
Thank you for that generous offer, Representative O'Driscoll. Would you like to move and offer the A4 amendment?
No, at this time, again, I think I've made my point very clear as to what I'm looking at and what I'm attempting to try to do here today. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Representative O'Driscoll has withdrawn the A4. We will move to member discussion and questions at this point. I have Representative Tabke on the list.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Katiza-Wattoon. I just wanted to piggyback, so say thanks to Chair Stevenson for this, and piggyback on what Mr. Sampson from Canterbury Park had to say, is that we are working together on a path forward for tracks and making sure that everyone is included, and we're making good progress as we hope to offer that into the future, and we'll keep everyone up to date as that goes. So thank you very much. Just wanted to let everyone know that we are working on a deal for that, so thank you.
Representative Farr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think this is an idea whose time has come, and I know, Mr. Chair, you and I have had that conversation. I want to see this happen. But when I think about the complexity of gambling, it reminds me of alcohol in the state. And so I'm in the camp of wanting to settle all these things together. When we open up the alcohol can, we don't look at just one thing. We look at the.
I think it's called a keg, sir.
Okay. Keg can. When we open that up, we look at all facets of that. And so, I heard Micah say earlier, protect and preserve what we have. I like that. I think we need to do the same thing for the tracks. And I think we need to do the same thing for our charities. And so, I as much as I want to see this happen, I don't support it in this format. And I understand you find it amusing that we want to tie some things together now, but I really think we need to look at all those things as a package versus just one at a time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Chair Stevenson.
I appreciate the comment, Representative Farr, and I do, I think both on the alcohol bill, on the cannabis bill, on this bill, my door has always been open to all stakeholders, and I've always tried to reach as broad a degree of consensus as we possibly can. This bill already has a remarkable amount of consensus. I think that to a lot of people, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying a lot of people in the outside world, you maybe think of the tribes as a monolith, but there are 11 of them, and they all have a different perspective. And so there's a lot of consensus even just there. And then you add in the professional sports teams, all of whom support this bill, and the feedback we've gotten from the university and from problem gambling groups and from all sorts of other groups. So there already is a lot in this bill, but I'm always open to more, and that's why I'm encouraged by Representative Tabke's work with the tracks. I do think charitable gambling is a different thing altogether, and I don't think it belongs in this bill. I think that there's a lot going on there between the tax issues, the issues connected to the stadium, and then the regulatory issues. And that is a discussion that we need to have, but not in this bill. And if that means that I can't earn your support, I'm not going to have it, because it's not going to be in this bill.
Members, any further questions or comments to House File 2000? Okay, seeing none. Oh,
Madam
Representative
Chair, I
O'Driscoll.
would like a roll call vote, please.
Representative O'Driscoll has requested a roll call vote. Mr. Chair, I'll let you close.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee, for the great discussion today. And it's going to continue. We have multiple committee stops here, and I think that there's a lot more work to be done, and I look forward to it. So I'd ask for a yes vote today.
Very good. The clerk will take the roll on the bill.
Chair Stevenson.
Aye.
Stevenson, aye. Vice Chair Cotiza-Wattoon.
Aye.
Cotiza-Wattoon, aye. GOP lead O'Driscoll.
No.
O'Driscoll, no. Representative Bierman.
Aye.
Bierman, aye. Representative Cha.
Aye.
Cha, aye. Representative Doubt. No. Doubt, no. Representative Dotseth is not here. Representative Freiberg.
Yes.
Freiberg, aye. Representative Cleavorn.
Cleavorn, aye.
Cleavorn, aye. Representative Kegel.
Aye.
Kegel, aye. Representative Kraft.
Aye.
Kraft, aye. Representative Liebling.
Aye.
Liebling, aye. Representative New Brindley.
No.
New Brindley, no. Representative Niska.
No.
Niska, no. Representative Perryman.
No.
Perryman, no. Representative Farr.
No.
Farr, no. Representative Tabke.
Yes.
Tabke, aye.
All right. To Chair Stevenson's motion that House File 2000 be recommended to be re-referred to the Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law Committee, there are 10 ayes and 6 nays. The motion prevails, and House File 2000 is recommended to be re-referred to the Judiciary, Finance, and Civil Law Committee.